Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of 219 Green Connect, where we explore topics about the environment and green living in Northwest Indiana. For past show archives, news, and upcoming events, you can check out our website at 219greenconnect.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter. Our ID on both Facebook and Twitter is 219 Green Connect. You can also subscribe to this podcast via iTunes. I'm your host, Kathy Sipple, and with me today I am pleased to have the chef at Spire Farm to Fork restaurant in LaPorte, Brad Hindsley, and I also have Laura Panozzo from, Laura, I've got to get this right now, Earth Angel Art. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't have it right in front of me, and sometimes I want to change those around. Earth Angel Eco Art Studio, also in LaPorte, Indiana. So thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you.
Yeah, well, Laura, you and I have been wanting to talk for some time now. We were going to do a show about, I think, a year ago, and then you had some unfortunate events happen, but your studio burned. And I think
yes, my studio burned down to the ground, which in essence was actually the gateway for my birds to kind of take form as the phoenix. So, when you lose something good, something better always comes along.
So very fitting. And for those that have not seen Laura's work, I will be posting some pictures of her beautiful birds that she just referenced. Laura, talk a little bit about your bird sculpture, and then we're going to give Brad, telling a little bit about Spire and what they do, and then, finally, I want to make sure we save plenty of time to talk about the collaboration that you guys have developed together. But let's introduce yourselves separately first.
Okay. Well, yes, as you said, Brad and I have formed an incredible business partnership. He's also a dear friend of mine. Brad and I actually met about 2.5 years ago when he came into my studio, which was located in Michigan City at the time. He was getting ready to add decor to his restaurant, and his good friend and interior designer, Dorothy Kessling, who we call Dot, accompanied him, and the two of them found my birds of great interest. So the birds that I make actually are the gateway to Brad and I developing our amazing artistic collaboration and business partnership, but the birds are larger-than-life sculptures, and I use wood that's refuged from basically the tributaries and rivers and riverways and waterways that run through LaPorte County. I take all of the wood that is destined to be buried and burned, and I turn it into these beautiful birds of flight. So I actually, I formed a partnership with Dan Plath, and he is the head and principal of the waterways out at NiSource, up there at the NIPSCO waterfront there, Michigan City, Lake Michigan beach shore. And those guys at NIPSCO, they collect all the driftwood and the refuge wood that comes up through the waterways that would otherwise be causing major problems for the tributary. And I pick it up in these huge flatbed trucks, and I use that as both my ecological partnership to use the refuse wood and also to create my birds. So they literally are from the earth of our region right here, and they're representational also of the birds that are in our region. So they're sandhill cranes, and they're herons, and they're eagles as well.
They're just absolutely gorgeous. And since you happen to mention Dot Kessling, I'm going to go ahead and put in a plug for a project that I know Dot is going to be working on with her nonprofit called the LOK Wishing Tree Foundation. I also work with her. She's one of my clients, and we're going to be having a function at your studio. I believe that's March 22nd.
That is right. That's correct.
Okay, and each person will be painting a piece of wood that will be assembled into a sculpture that you will create, and then I think we're going to be raffling that. I'm not sure of all the details just yet, but I'm very excited that we're going to get to work together on that project.
Well, we're so looking forward to that too. Actually, it's called the dream bird for the LOK Foundation. And this is also a collaboration with Brad and myself and Dot, and it is our common thread, which is our brand, Brad and I. It's our brand. It is representative of our collaboration, and we will be doing this for Dot Kessling, who is the founder of the LOK Foundation. So it should be very beautiful. We're all painting feathers that are wooden feathers, and I'll assemble all of the feathers, which will be painted literally from the heart, a prayer or a dream, and then, accompanied by certain painting, techniques that would reference back to the dream or the prayer, just gifts of love in the feathers. And then I will assemble all the feathers to create a very big and beautiful bird in the memory of Lindsay, who is Dot's daughter. And it will be a really special, very powerful, and a very beautiful occasion that will also celebrate the legacy of love in Lindsay's life.
Great. Well, thank you. I have a feeling that this show, more than any other possibly that I've ever done, is going to be packed to the gills with information, because both of you are just so involved, with projects that you're collaborating on in the community. So we've got a lot to cover. You guys are just real movers and shakers. So thanks, Laura, for, summarizing, quite a bit of what you do into a very tiny amount of space. And Laura, you actually got to accompany me on my first trip to Spire, which happened just last month. I can't believe it took me that long to get out there. I'm in Valparaiso, and it was so well worth the trip to LaPorte. Brad, I really, really enjoyed the meal there, the energy, the view, just everything. So just talk a little bit about Spire and what makes Spire different.
Well, Spire started in 2007 when I started my catering company, and the idea was to provide a service to LaPorte that was a service that you couldn't find anywhere else. We wanted to make sure that we provided an opportunity for our guests to get anything that they wanted when it comes to food. And it started off very conventional, and we grew into the model of using this farm-to-fork style of cooking and this slow food style of cooking, where we make everything from scratch. We don't buy anything pre-made, processed out of a can or frozen. And it's important for us to continue that legacy that we have built in almost 7 years ago. And it kind of grew into this restaurant, Spire Farm to Fork. We were given an opportunity in 2012 from Legacy Hills Golf Course to open a restaurant. And it was, it's kind of one of those opportunities that falls into your lap, and you don't understand why, but you just say yes and you keep moving, and it was a great opportunity for us. And the space is beautiful, as you have said, and Laura has helped with her art to make it even more stunning. And the food itself is, our menus are ever changing. We change our menu once a month. We use only food that is found within 250 miles of our restaurant. We do have 10 exceptions to those rules. There are 10 items who I feel as a chef I couldn't live without, like Parmesan cheese from Italy and coffee.
Yeah, that springs to mind immediately for me. Yeah.
You can't. I have about a dozen clients who, if I ever take chocolate off the menu, they will probably hunt me down and murder me, because you can't run a restaurant without chocolate. So there are items that you just can't live without, and you can't run a restaurant without, that doesn't grow in this area. But other than that, everything else comes from local farmers. We support about 20 to 30 different farmers and growers and producers and winemakers and beer makers, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with our local community, both in LaPorte and the surrounding areas. And it allows me as the chef to connect with special people like Laura and like all of these farmers we work with. We do a lot of collaborations. It's important for us to continue to support local, and the people we work with have the same philosophy as well.
Well, that's great, and I love how on your website you've actually got a map of many of the farms, and many of them quite local. Some of them just 5-6 miles from your restaurant. So talk about hyper local and very, very fresh. I mean, that's just great, very admirable. And okay, so you've been doing this amazing restaurant, Brad. You've been recognized. I know recently you won an award for entrepreneurial excellence. Laura's been, creating this beautiful artwork. And then what guided you guys to come to this project? Our Common Thread is the name of it. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm going to take the lead because I think Laura missed a key point to our relationship. I taught a cooking class, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And Laura came to the class, and we started talking and kept talking and talking. And then we kind of lost touch for about a year and a half. And then when the restaurant was opening, I told Dot we need to go check out Laura's studio. And we were there, and, it's like we just started from where we left off a year and a half ago. And I left the studio that day, and Dot said, "How long have you known Laura?" I said, "That's literally the second time I've seen her in my life." And it's like we've been best friends all our lives, and it's a great relationship, and we've always talked about having this collaboration, working together. And I got back from Italy this past fall, and I called Laura, and I said, "We need to do this now." And we've been very serious about our collaboration and have taken a lot of
We've taken a lot of opportunities to really grow, just like you plant seeds in the ground and, a harvest comes forth. We've really been just kind of blessed with this awesome creative flow. And anytime that Brad and I sit down to put our heads together, we're literally coming up with fantastic stuff. It just blows us both away, that we have this kind of synergy that is so on point that it just naturally flows so well together. So we're excited for our collaboration, and we're impressed with all the great ideas that we come up with. It's just a natural flow, and we're both so, I think, absolutely committed.
And we're both very humble, too, just so you know.
Yeah, and we are humble. We're very humble. That's another good point.
You know what? You are, actually, because I know both of you, and I can vouch for your personal awesomeness, so you're really dialing it back quite a bit. You've got my...
You also, Kathy, are such a wonderful person with also a very similar, energy. And we are excited. We are so excited about all of our projects and everything that is just coming literally into fruition. And we're impressed, I think, just with the ability that we have to dedicate ourselves. We're both doing so much, but there's a love that we have for our community. And there's a love that we have for bringing excellent culture, to this community that we love. So we're in it for the good old long haul. And I think we're just, as we continue to create and plan out our yearly, calendar, we're coming up with these amazing events that we can actually turn into annual events for our community. And they're all about giving back. They're all about moving our community forward. And they're all about celebrating, the culture of life and art and cuisine. It's such an exciting time.
Let's talk about a couple of the events. I'm on your Facebook page right now, which, again, is called Our Common Thread. And, I've heard about Cocktails and Creations, which I really, really want to get to sometime very soon. I can't make it this week, but I keep an eye out for it. And then I see that you've also added kind of a junior event targeted to kids called Cocoa and Creations. So tell me a little bit about how those are structured, what happens during one of those events. You've had one so far, is that right?
Yes, we've had one, and it was awesome. It was an absolute hit. And these are going to be fantastic because, I've got a simple shapes theory that I incorporate to every class. It's about taking a beautiful image that might be intimidating to some because they may not come from an art background or they may not understand fully how art is created step by step. But my simple shape theory is basically to choose beautiful works of art that are composed of simpler shapes, just basic shapes that everyone can actually replicate. And in the class, we do it together, step by step. So nobody's further along than anyone else, and I'm up front, and I do the painting, and as I do it, they do the same thing. So it's like a mirror technique. And it's quite fun. You get to order some cocktails, and you get to have Brad's wonderful dinner or appetizers, and you get to hang out with your buddies. And Brad came up with Cocoa and Creations, and it's for children. They must be 8 years and older. We would like them to be accompanied by their parents. But it'll be on Saturdays, and it'll be in the morning. And Brad is going to cook up yum goodies for breakfast. And the parents will be able to eat a Spire breakfast for just $10. And it's just geared toward bringing the culture and the cuisine straight to our community and letting people enjoy and have fun. Also, Brad came up with another brilliant couples and creations. We're going to be holding some classes for couples. So, boyfriend, girlfriend, partners, husbands, wives, whoever you're loving, bring your partner and come to Couples and Creations. And that's going to be on February 27th.
Okay,
so we're hitting it all. We've got, the cocktails and creations in general. Then we have cocoa and creations for the kids. And then we've got couples and creations where you bring your partner and you'll make a painting or a sculpture with them. So it's kind of like you hand them the paintbrush after a few strokes, and then the other one takes over, and then you've got this beautiful thing that you created together.
Very cool. That's just really very fascinating. Now, how do you choose the images, Laura, that the group will be creating?
Well, I'm I'll do a search, I find image searches because as an artist, I have been an artist and an independent professional artist for the past 20 years. And, for 5 years I had my studio in Florence, Italy behind the Duomo. And then after that it was Puerto Rico for 4 years. And then Chicago 6 years, Indianapolis for 3 years, and now back home. So I take images that I've basically collected over the 20 years of my career, and I revisit them, and I pick my favorites, and I share them with my class. So like the crane, the Asian crane that I'm using for the Cocoa and the Creations, the Kiddies class, it's a beautiful bird that I came across many years ago, and that image has always stayed with me. I go back to my image library, and I'll pick my favorites that have simple shapes, and then I'll share them as the topic of
I love
paint,
that image. And I was wondering if you have to show ID, how much more above 8 years of age you can be and still get in on that class. No, I just think it's really cool that you're doing a bird, and I so associate birds with you. That just really resonates. But anyhow, I'm really looking forward to that. So how many people tend to be at these events? Is it limited? Tell a little bit about how people...
We do limit it to people total. So for the Cocktails and Creations, we can have up to 20 people. For the Couples and Creations and the Cocos and Creations, I think the limit is 15 roughly, just for space-wise. But, we still have openings for all three of these classes. We're going to have at least one, maybe two classes every month. We're looking at March right now to figure out what we'll schedule in March. And we'd also, as an agreement between Laura and I, we're going to do support nonprofits too, at least once a quarter. LOK being the first one this first quarter of 2014. So we're going to continue to support the community in that way. And the other event that's going to be quite large, and we're working with Sasha Burns from Sunkissed Organics on, is a community farm dinner where the idea is to set up one long table down one of the main streets in LaPorte and serve a farm dinner to the people of LaPorte who want to attend this event with live music. We're going to support local breweries and wineries for the bar for that as well, and just a way to bring the community out so that they can continue to learn about this farm-to-table movement and what it means to support local and to support your local economy.
I love it.
Well said.
I mean, it's an artful local approach to building a local economy, and it's something that we all need to do every day, is to feed ourselves, and to feed ourselves in a way that is so beautiful and community oriented, I think is great. I'm sure that's going to be a huge success. So when you have that planned, I'd love to have you back and do another podcast and talk about that. I'm sure that will be very, very well attended, and I can't wait to hear more. So the event, is that kind of the main impetus behind your collaboration, or do you have some other things in mind?
Well, we have this forever kind of goal. We don't want to ever end our collaboration, but I think initially the main reason we came together was to write a book together as well, which is something that's on the back burner, but we still work on as we can. We know this is going to be a marathon versus a sprint when it comes to writing a book. But the idea is to write a book that collaborates between a chef and an artist, and relating it all to the nature around us, being hyper-seasonal. One of the things as a chef that I kind of get frustrated with other restaurants is when they say they have a seasonal menu, and I always use the example of asparagus. Asparagus is only available for 2 weeks a year, 2 to 3 weeks a year, but it's on, when a seasonal restaurant says they have asparagus, it's on their menu for 3 months. And to me, that's not seasonal. So the goal of the book is to be hyper-seasonal and to show what is available on a weekly basis throughout the year, and then create recipes and create art, and to tell a story of the seasons, which is going to be Laura. She's a good storyteller.
Yes. We see how technical Brad is? This is why we actually work so well, because Brad is a genius. He really is. He's going to separate the idea of seasonal cuisine and further it into the semi-seasons and the hyper-seasons. And he's so in tune with what happens with the earth. And I am also as well. I am finding myself in tune with, like, the poetry behind the seasons and the hyper-seasons and the life cycle of animals and the growth cycle and harvest cycles. So together, Brad and I are going to really create something that's quite spiritual and inspirational, and it goes to the table. It creates memories. It's consumed. It gives life. And mine as well. It's the representation of the event. It's the artistic, creative marker of, the coyotes and the birds and the growth cycle and Mother Nature. And with the two of that paired together, there is a real intense world of spiritual and kind of motivational truths that go behind something as seemingly simple as a harvest and a table.
Well, and to me it seems like one of the common threads that you share is really using what is immediately available. Laura, you've got the found objects in the medium that you use with the wood, the reclaimed wood. And Brad, you're using the found objects, which is the seasonally available produce and other items. And I think bringing that approach, bringing that creativity really forces you to live in the now and to kind of be on the cutting edge. Like, here's what I've been given. What can I do with it? Do you think that's true, or what's your response?
Absolutely, it's true. I think that's when people heard an artist and a chef are collaborating together, I think it was hard for a lot of people to understand how we can relate so well, but it's really about the type of art that we do, and it's about the earth as well. And, I am an artist in my own right as a chef, and the food that I create and the plates that I create, and Laura is an artist, of course, just with her beautiful paintings and her sculptures, and we all support the earth. Laura and I both support what goes into the earth, what comes out of the earth, and we need to continue to support, our local ecosystem in order for it to be here for many years to come.
And even more than, you can look at something, you can say, I support this, or I'm gonna be an advocate for this. But I think, beyond support, there's deep passion that Brad and I both share. I mean, it's like a conviction. I mean, complete dedication with passion to a vision realized. And I think that's what separates Brad and I from a lot of other people who kind of go through the motions of life. I mean, we are drinking it up in life, and we're dedicated to it. We're moved by it. We literally both use the earth to do what we love doing, and it's our life. I mean, that's how we make our living. So we are in love with it, and we're dedicated to it. We further it all the time. For instance, we have this great project upcoming that Brad uses Cook's Bison Farm for your bison. Is that right? I have a new line coming out this spring, 2014, of warrior shields. They're large warrior shields that would be made with buffalo skins and also just linen canvases wrapped with the wood that I harvest, and using parts of the buffalo, like the buffalo skull and the teeth, to create these large birds with bones this time around instead of wood. I'll use all the parts of the buffalo to create the bird, my bird sculpture, and Brad will put the buffalo on the table, and we'll serve it up for dinner. So it sounds kind of funny. He just laughed at me.
No, actually, I think it sounds great.
But it's those beautiful collaborations.
Well, besides the thread that I mentioned before, which is using, immediately available ingredients, I think there's an awareness and a respect for nature by using all of the animal, not having waste, upcycling, transforming, and, that passion definitely comes across when I talk to either of you or certainly both of you in your collaboration. So I just can't wait to see what else comes of this group. And let's just give people a couple of different ways that they can find you guys online. So, Laura, if you want to say where you can be found most easily, and Brad and
most easily I can be found on my Earth Angel Eco Art Studio by Laura Marie Panozzo on Facebook page. Also our Common Thread page, which is pretty new. My Earth Angel Eco Art Studio page is where to find me. Kathy, you are actually helping me with my new website. So
yeah, we're all connected. So look for that soon. And I'll tell you what I'll do is just put links to all of these different things so that it's easy to go to one place. Let's go ahead and just give your domain name. It might look different by the time, people are hearing this and seeing it in a couple months, but go ahead and give your website name as well.
Okay, it's LauraMariePanozzo.com.
Okay.
I always go by my full name as an artist, Laura Marie Panozzo, because unbelievably so, there are some other Laura Panozzos in Northwest Indiana. So I have to usually use my... Yeah, crazy.
Oh, I've not
the one is a basketball coach out in Chesterton.
Interesting.
And the other one is my grandmother, who's 91.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That makes a little more sense.
So they're all out there. It's crazy, but LauraMariePanozzo.com.
Great. And Brad, what about you? What's the easiest way to find Spire?
Well, Spire, we have multiple ways to find us. We have our website, spirefarmtofork.com. We have our catering company at spirecatering.com, and then on Facebook, Spire Farm to Fork Cuisine. And we're also on Twitter at Spire Farm to Fork.
Great. Well, I just want to thank you both once again, not just for today and joining me today, which I greatly appreciate, but for all you do in the community. I'm well aware of all the giving back that you do and just all the beautiful creativity you put out there, and it just makes Northwest Indiana a better place to live. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all of that.
Well, Kathy, you're so sweet. You are welcome. And, Brad and I are dedicated to keeping this going for our lifetime.
Good. Well, if I can put in a plug, I would really love to paint some kind of a bird or some kind of a dunescape. So I don't know. I'm going to prompt the artist to look for those types of images for a future event.
We could do that for March.
Hey, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. That would be an idea to get the crowd, involved, is let audience vote on the image. You never know.
Well, I love that, Kathy. You're so on point. Oh my gosh, let's do that. I love that.
All right,
so you'll
cool.
Get it for March. Sipple
Yay!
Bird.
Well, I love it. I love it. I just can't wait. But again, we're almost out of time for today. I want to remind you that you've been listening to 219 Green Connect, where we do talk about green living and the environment in Northwest Indiana and all the people that are contributing to making Northwest Indiana just a better, more vibrant place to live. So you'll be able to find a link to this show and others in the archive by visiting our website at 219greenconnect.com. There's a little blog talk radio widget, and that shows all of the last 5 episodes to regularly. You can also go to Blog Talk Radio and listen to any one of our dozens of past show archives. So thank you once again to Laura from Earth Angel Eco Art in LaPorte. She's got a new studio there, and her work can also be seen at Spire Farm to Fork Restaurant in LaPorte. And we've been talking to Brad Hindsley, the head chef from Spire, and Laura about their joint project called Our Common Thread. That you'll check that out and be able to attend one of the many different events that they're co-sponsoring in the upcoming months. So thanks again, Laura and Brad, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Great day.